I think the toolkit that we've been introduced to today is it appears to be a very useful toolkit, because in terms of evaluating what we're doing, it can be used within the classroom as a resource within the classroom. I feel that it will help us to evaluate and continually assess where we're going with family learning. It will give us a benchmark at the start and the beginning of our course to see how far we've travelled in terms of the prisoner experience of engaging in family learning. So from a prisoner point of view and a family point of view, if used correctly as a toolkit, it will allow them to see how far they've actually travelled on that journey in terms of family learning. And from a practitioner point of view, again, it will allow us to evaluate how what we're doing right, what needs tweaking, and how we can and help us assess how we can actually do that. I feel that it would really benefit sort of and help inform progression that we're making in terms of other partners, such as Ofsted. It will help us to evaluate how we're performing against Ofsted, how we're performing as a prison, and also how effective our practice is overall. So I would certainly be using it. I will use this as part of my teaching and assessment process as a tool to really overall just evaluate and inform family learning going forwards.
Over the years, I've been very challenged that I know that all the programmes that I've been involved with work. I know because of anecdotes, I know because I've seen lives change, but I've never been able to prove that by measurement. So I am pleased with this tool. I obviously haven't had any time to look at it and develop it, but I will certainly go away and look at maybe how some of the newer programmes that we're about to start can be used with this tool, because we have a society whereby if we can't measure it, then it doesn't count. And I do think that's a shame for the family learning agenda. So I think bravo to the toolkit, and we will certainly be looking at Oakwood to see how we can implement it and use it effectively. We have never done tick box exercises ever, and I wouldn't want this to be just a tick box exercise. We want to do it so it actually does mean something and it's relevant. We have a family unit. We have 80 men on the family unit, and all the time today I've been thinking, could we use that to measure a man living on a different unit from other people? Could we actually measure the impact? Because it does have an impact. And if I can use the toolkit and help measure it, I do think it will set us good stead for the future.
Well, from looking at the toolkit, I believe it's going to be very useful. I think it's really good to have some measure of outcome to prove to that help us to decide whether our courses are fit for purpose and that they're useful. Because, you know, money's tight and we don't want to be wasting money. We don't want to be spending money on courses that aren't necessarily hitting the mark and actually having the impact that we want them to have. So it's a way of making sure that the course that we've got and that we've designed is going to have the biggest impact that we want it to have. So I'm hoping it's going to be very useful. And I plan to go back to my respective prisons and ask them, the people that are involved in family learning, to try out the toolkit and see whether it works for us, and feed in with the learning and work people to see if they can help us pilot it or try it out in our area and make sure that we're doing it correctly.
In our service, we want to be able to say, has this particular piece of work made a difference? I think we've learnt to be flexible and accommodating on how we ask that question. Everything can't be assessed to the nth degree when sometimes it's a simple intervention like a family day or a homework club. So it is useful because this toolkit seems to give that flexibility where you can use it at as a sort of a feedback on how a particular day went, or you can use it over time to see if material changes happened, if the course is ongoing, you want to do a before and after. I definitely think there's, again, establishments are entitled to and should really question themselves all the time about is what we're doing making a blind bit of difference. But if you overlay that with family learning, which clearly you want it to have a reducing or offending impact, and that's my drive overall, we want to do better in terms of family work because of the aim to reducing or offending, because there's some general stats about that, make that overall works. We reduce reoffending if we make family engagement more effective. But we shouldn't be totally bound up by that, because there's a big decency agenda on family work, which is sometimes it's just the right thing to do. So the sort of smiley face review after an engagement for a day or a family day, and so you just at least asking the questions whether that day worked very well for the families is important, and that may be the only return. And as I say, this toolkit seems to be able to give you that, as well as the more sophisticated over time stuff. So my job will be to, again, promote the use of that to enable governors to answer that question, is what I'm doing making a blind bit of difference?